Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you're calling in from. Thank you for joining us for part 4 of the Fiscal Year 2020 CSBG Annual Report webinar series. Today, we'll discuss the OLDC Refresher. We usually provide live demo, but given some bandwidth issues, we will not do that this time. However, we are offering virtual office hours for a one-on-one TA, which we will discuss further on in the webinar. My name is Monique Alcantara, and I am joined by my colleague, Nikki Frazier, as we walk through this presentation. Prior to starting, I do want to give you some housekeeping rules. Everyone is muted and everyone's cameras are turned off and will remain that way for the duration of today's webinar. However, we do have a Q&A pod. So if you type your question in there, we hope to have some time at the end of the webinar in order to answer your questions live. But again, if not, you're always able to reach out to myself and Nikki. So any questions you have, please type them into the Q&A, not into the chat module, and we would really appreciate it. So let's get started. Again, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning. And on behalf of the Office of Community Services and the Division of Community Assistance, I would like to thank everyone for joining today. Again, my name is Monique Alcantara. I am a Management and Program Analyst within the Office of Community Services. We are recording today's webinar, and both this webinar as well as Tuesday's webinar will be posted on our website. Actually, Tuesday's webinar is already posted, and at the end of today's presentation, we'll show you where to find those. I do want to remind everyone of a recent Dear Colleague that OCS released on March 11th, DCL 2021-10. It is about the fiscal year 2020 reporting requirements for each report. This is a refresher of the CSBG DCL 2021-04, which was released in February. We also extended the due date for everyone to June 30th, 2021, not 2020, for all reports. And within this DCL, you'll find attachments for the webinar presentation that we did on February 16th, as well as the presentation that we did on March 3rd. A reporting timeline, which really walks through all the steps of the reporting from the initial submission through the finalization of the data, and then the reporting requirements within a table. I also want to remind everyone of DCL 2020-14 for Module 3, which was released last year on February 21st. This will be another year of quality assurance. And again, I really want to point out the 4 stages. The formative stage means don't submit this to OCS. And this is the area where the eligible entity is really thinking about what they're going to do, and they're still in a very early planning stages. The formal planning stage, we suggest at this juncture, the eligible entity starts to submit to the state. And this just means that you have a few more things in motion. You're ready to fill out the initiation status form. The transformation status form. And you're going to start working with your state to get this towards the active implementation stage, in which case the state will submit to OCS. And then finally, the maturity phase, which is the final submission to OCS. This also includes the revised state checklist. So please go back to that DCL and use that checklist as you're filling out your Module 3 transformation. Today's focus will go briefly over the timeline. And then we'll have an OLDC refresher, which will focus on how to submit Module 1, Module 3, and Modules 2 and 4. Again, we are not doing the live demos today as we have in prior years, but we will be available for office hours to do some one-on-one technical assistance. Sorry. So all 4 modules will be available as of next week, March 22nd, 2021, including Module 1 and the pre-populations. The due date for all 3 annual reports will be June 30th. OLDC will open for the CSBG Cares and the CSBG Disaster in April. We will start reviewing all 3 reports on July 1st, and then we expect to have all initial feedback back to states by September 14th. And you'll see that's the process that we're going through. So the smart forms were released. If you have not received your smart forms, please reach out to Paige Milson at NASCAS or the CC to Muska Cameron. For OLDC availability, we March for the regular reports. The annual report submissions can start as soon as OLDC opens. So if you're ready to submit on March 22nd, please do so. You do not have to wait to June 30th. And then the quality assurance review and the federal review will begin July 1st. Now today I'm going to remind you a bit about OLDC accounts. OLDC allows a secure submission and permits different rules for different functions. And one thing we want to remind everyone is that the annual reports do not need to be certified by the authorized official, which will come up later, but I just want to put that out there in the beginning. For the state plan requires certification, but the annual report does not, at least not by the authorized official. It is still part of the steps for submitting. So each person that is going to work with the annual report within OLDC needs to have a separate account. So please do not share your password and your email logins with other individuals. You should each have your own account. And even if you already have an OLDC account because you're working with another program such as LIHEAP, we still need to add CSBG to your account if you have not previously worked with any CSBG reports. So please just contact contact Nikki Frazier and our other colleague, Jacinta Montanga, who is new to our team, for any OLDC access issues, including submitting an OLDC access form. If you need to verify that you have access or that you have an account, again, please contact Nikki and Jacinta. And one other thing we want to point out, that OLDC really is for state personnel only. So that's for the contact people within the state CSBG state lead agency. We also recommend that each state has at least one user per role. So the 3 roles are data entry, grant administrator, and authorized official. While the authorized official is not integral to the role of the annual report, because the authorized official is really just their only role is to certify and to review the information that's already drafted. And that's not required for the annual report. We do just want to give you guys a reminder that each state should have at least one person assigned to each of these roles. I do want to go a little bit into the roles because this is something that we get a lot of questions about. And so the first role is data entry. This might be a lower level staff person who's just starting the reports and getting the information in there to be reviewed by prior to submission. But the person who is assigned data entry, or persons, are able to initialize new reports. They're able to edit reports, which means they're able to, there's a button that you have to click after the report's been initialized to actually start editing the report. So they are able to do that. They're able to enter and revise data, and they're able to review reports. They're not able to certify, submit, or unsubmit. So these are the actions that are actually given to this role as a default. We are able to add any actions, but we don't recommend adding any additional actions other than the one that we have on this list. The next role is the grant administrator. This is usually assigned to the CSBG program contact, which is the person that we would interact with regularly. And you're able to do everything. So initialize reports, edit reports, enter and revise data. You're able to review the reports, certify, submit, and unsubmit reports. And these are, again, all your default actions. There's nothing that you can't do. So we would not have to assign any additional actions to your role, but that is what the grant administrator is. And we usually recommend that this is the state program contact person, the lead program contact, or 1.2 of the CSBG state plan. Is it 1.2? 1.34, sorry. Then the last role is the authorized official. This person is able to review reports and certify. So when the authorized official reviews, they're not able to actually edit any of the data. We can add additional actions to the roles, like being able to initialize, edit and revise, and submit and unsubmit, but that's not part of their role as a default. So if you have someone in your office who is the authorized official who would like to have more access, just let us know and we can assign additional access to them. Again, for anyone who needs a new account, if you have a new person in your office that's going to be helping you submit the annual report, please contact Nikki Frazier and Jacinta Montango. We do have linked here the OLDC access form, which you'll have to complete in order to receive access. Once Nikki or Jacinta set up your account, you'll receive a username and password via 2 separate emails from notifications@grantsolutions.gov. And then lastly, if you don't receive the emails, you can contact us, but also we do ask that you contact Grant Solutions directly at the information you see on the screen. and you do anticipate receiving that information within 48 hours. So now I'm briefly going to walk through actually accessing OLDC. Again, this is usually where we go into the live demo portion, but we will not be doing that today. So we are going to walk through it, but we will do office hours if you need to have a little bit more technical assistance. To access Grant Solutions, it's via www.grantsolutions.gov. You're able to access it through Chrome, Firefox, or Internet Explorer. We do recommend that you save this website as a favorite since you'll be interacting with it regularly over the next few months. Chrome is the preferred browser, but you are able to access it through all three browsers. The reason we do notate that Chrome is the preferred browser is because there are different functionalities that do not work as well in some of the other browsers, such as the icons that you need in order to edit and revise. So this is an image of what the grantsolutions.gov home screen looks like. You would click log in from the right-hand side. And this will bring you to the login page. You can click enter, you enter your username and then your password and then click submit. I do want to point out a new feature, which is the login.gov. So if you have a login.gov access, either because you're accessing other government websites that require a login.gov, you can actually link your Grant Solutions to your login.gov account. You just click login.gov and then it walks you through how to add your Grant Solutions email to your login.gov. It is not a requirement, and I don't believe that there is any time in the near future that they are going to make this a requirement, but it is just an additional feature for people who would prefer not to have multiple passwords for multiple accounts. So just want to point that out to everyone. And again, it's from the login page and it's on the right of the username and password. If you have any login issues, such as you forgot your username or your password, please click Forgot Username or Password under the Submit button and then follow the instructions provided. If you do not receive reset instructions within 48 hours, please contact Nikki and Jacinta and they'll be able to offer you additional assistance to get that password reset. While OCS is able to reset your password, if we do it on our end, it means you won't be able to change your password. That means that you will have one of those passwords that has 9 random characters that would be harder to remember. So that's why we do suggest that you try to reset it on your own first. Once you are logged in, you'll be brought to the Grant Solutions portal, and the OLDC button is usually on the top in the right-hand corner. Some people have different views depending on the different access that they have to the system, but for the most part, you'll find OLDC here. Sorry, you'll find it here. Once you click OLDC, you'll be taken to the OLDC homepage. By default, the regular version will be displayed, but if you haven't already done so, we recommend navigating the system under the enhanced version. You can switch to homepage enhanced by clicking the associated button. It's right here, it's hidden under the arrow, right above your action screen. And then just to go through it briefly, this action screen does allow you to look at your activity report, reports due, and my recent activity. If you do look at the reports due tab and you see that there is a due date that is not June 30th, it's okay, you're not going to get dinged. We just don't, that's something we have to manually update per state, and that's not something that we actively do. So it's okay. But under the My Recent Activity, you're able to view your reports in read-only mode or edit the most recent report that you've been working on. And under the report access, you're able to navigate to the report form status page. And with that, I will hand it over to Nikki.
Thank you, Monique. I will be going over submitting Module 1. Under this section, we will go over direct data entry for Module 1, auto populations, auto calculations, attachments, and skip logic. Next slide. Accessing Module 1, you will see on the left side of the OLDC homepage that there is on the top is the link to report form entry. You will select that. And once you click on report form entry, it takes you to the form selection screen. And you can see that in front of you. This is where you click the drop down and select Community Services Block Grant. If you have access to more than one grant, all those grants will populate under this drop down. You will select Community Services Block Grant, and then for grantee name, you should have access to your particular grant. For this today, we're using Alaska as an example. Then you will click Annual Progress, Module 1, under the report name. After you select Annual Progress Module 1, the bottom of the screen will open up, and then you'll see the list of reporting periods. For this reporting period, you will be selecting 10/1/2019 to 9/30/2020. That is for fiscal year 20. You will also see on the right side under actions, these are called icons. The plus sign allows you to initiate a report. So you will click the plus sign. As a note, the annual report module 1 populates from the 2020 state plan. And when you initialize that by clicking the plus sign, it takes you to the report sections page for module 1. Under the perform action section, where it says select action, there is a drop down. There are options under the drop down, clear section data. That will delete all the data saved for that section. It is very unlikely that you would use that particular button. The edit section allows you to open the form section in data entry mode. The print section would allow you to open a new browser to select to print that particular section. You are able to print sections individually or as a whole. So let's begin editing. You will, from the drop-down arrow, you will select edit section and select go. So this is one form of entering data. And this is taken from section A, direct data. You're allowed to enter a narrative. And the white box is a white text field. You would enter your response in this box. Radio buttons are the circular buttons to the left of the entries on the screen. The circular buttons allow you to select a singular response. To change your response, you would select a new radio button, and the previous radio button would unselect and the new selection would be selected. Checkboxes is another option. They are represented as a square. It allows you to select multiple responses, and you are able to select and deselect or unselect as needed. Prepopulations. As stated before, the annual report module 1 populates from the fiscal year 2020 state plan. If you see text in blue with a blue background, you are not able to edit that information. Information or sections that has a white background, you are able to edit those sections. And you can see that displayed on the screen where 2019 is under fiscal year. This is applicable to all data entry options. auto populations. This is data populated from the annual report. For this particular item, we are taking it from section D for org standards. And to the left picture or image shows that section where no text is entered under number of eligible entities assessed. To the right image shows that 10 is entered in that text field. And at the bottom of that image, you can see that the number of entities assessed is auto-populated to the right. And you can see where the 10 goes from the top, and you can see those entries in blue at the bottom, signaling that it is an auto-populate. Once you enter 10,
go ahead.
I was just going to say that for that auto population to take place, you must hit validate.
Thank you, Nikki. I do add that there are some fields that are auto-populated, such as the CSBG state plan target from the CSBG state plan. And there are also fields that auto-populate as you work on the form. So I say this to say that if you see a question such as this, or say most of section A, where you're not seeing your auto population from your state plan, please contact myself and Nikki. That means that your pre-populations did not come through. So if you are working through your annual report and you think that something's not auto-populating that should be auto-populating, please contact us right away. Stop working on the annual report module 1, because that means that there may have been some glitch in the system that we will have to fix on the back end. Thank you, Nikki.
No, thank you, Monique, for that instance. There are times when grantees open up and they begin to fill out the information and it's not auto-populated, and then it clicks, hey, doesn't it supposed to be auto-populated? So to avoid that, you should be able to quickly recognize that your module 1 is not auto-populated, and please contact Monique and I, as Monique just stated. Thank you so much.
And you're welcome. And we will be releasing which questions should be auto-populated. There's no change from last year, but we'll re-release that information so that you know what to be looking for as you're filling out module 1.
So now we'll go to auto calculations. For auto calculations, these are in section D and section E. As stated, they are in blue. If it's in blue, all blue background, then it is read only. Percentages and totals calculate automatically. And to see that, you must hit the validate button. So in this screen, you can see that the before screen shows the information under actual percentage as 0, because no information is entered under number of entities assessed and the number that met 100%. And as that information is filled in at the bottom, you can see that the auto calculation has taken place. You can see that as 90%. Attachments. This is a very contentious item for reports in OLDC. To note, attachments do not transfer over from the year prior. Attachments allow you to add additional information to access the screens to allow you to attach. In the module, you will click the paperclip as identified under where it says G1. And we will also tell you how to name it, but file name should include the question number. So as stated, OCS accepts cell level attachments for module 1. So you would have to click the paperclip and not click the view add attachments button. For submitting Module 1, it is very important that you save and validate. Validating each section allows you to check for errors and also to ensure that all the validations are taking place. The correct information is populating correctly. You can navigate to the different sections. You don't have to hit previous section or next section. You can actually take the shortcut by using the report sections drop down at the top of the screen, the menu bar, and go to report sections, and a list of sections displays, and you can select the section that you would like to go to. And to click submit only appears once all the validations are cleared. So if you hit validate and you do not see a submit button, it means that there are errors.
So the other option that you have, once you validate and you cleared all errors, you can use the report sections to go to each section. Then also, once you validated all errors, you hit go to report sections, and it will take you to the report sections page, and you can hit submit from there. If you do not see the submit button, again, contact myself and Nikki. We can look into your report and see why you're unable to submit. It could be something as simple as you don't have the option to submit because of your
role,
or it could be because there was validation that you missed or something of that nature. So once you go to the report sections page, if you do not see the option to submit, just let Nikki or myself know.
Now we will go on to Module 3. Module 3, we'll use the same process to access in that particular module. So you will click on Report Form Entry to the left side of the OLDC homepage. That takes you again to the form selection screen where you enter the program name, your grantee name, and the report name as Module 3. Again, the plus sign now allows you to initialize the report, and you will be initializing for the federal reporting period of 10/1/2019 to 9/30/2020. So for Module 3, it is a form level attachment. This is the module that accepts form level attachments. It's the only module that we allow this way to attach documents. So to attach your form, your Module 3 form for Module 3, you will click View Add Attachments. And then that takes you to the form level attachment screen where you would choose File, select that. And then you will also for this, you can only add one file at a time. So you attach the file name will then appear under the file name. So you can see that near the bottom of the screen. So once you hit attach file, the file name displays there. You'll see that it will reflect the upload date, show the status of that, and show who uploaded that particular attachment. You will repeat this process of choosing the file and attaching the file until all the attachments that you need to upload are in the system on this page. So we talked about file name earlier for Module 1, and we asked that you include the actual item number. The attachments for Module 3, we ask that you use the naming convention as the fiscal year, the state abbreviation, the module number, which will be M3 as the abbreviation, the eligible entity name, and the eligible entity DUNS number followed by the total number of attachments for that entity. So if you have one entity that has multiple initiatives, then they would be noted at the end of this naming convention, 1 of 10, 2 of 10, and so forth. If your eligible entity name is super long, that's the technical term, then you can abbreviate that. So validation, when you click validate, it should be no errors because you're just opening up the screen and attaching your documents for that. So once you validate, then you will be able to submit. And now I'll pass it back over to Monique to go over submitting modules 2 and 4.
Hello again. Thanks, Nikki. So I'm going to walk through submitting modules 2 and 4. I will do a quick XML refresher, and this is just getting to the XMLs. This is only for the states that are using smart forms, not a state database. But if you're using a smart form, you're not able to submit the actual smart form to OLDC, so you have to, so we built in the functionality to create an XML. So in order to do that, once you've filled out, and this is really on the state, whether they would want to create all the XMLs or if they would prefer that the eligible entity creates the XMLs. But once you're ready, once the state has reviewed all the data and you think that this is ready to go, you would go to the outstanding errors and warnings page and then click XML Export at the top of the outstanding errors and warnings. That will then take you to a little pop-up box so they can save the file. You'll select the correct folder and click OK to create the XML. And then depending on what system you have, you'll get a smart form export created. The XML export file is created and it'll show you where it saved the document to. So that's just a quick refresher. For more information, please see our webinar that we held on Tuesday, which was the smart form refresher, and it delves in much more concretely about this process. So now you have your XMLs and you want to go back into OLDC. And on the left-hand screen, you're going to click Report Data Upload, which you can see right here next to the arrow. Then you're going to go, this will take you to the Report Data Upload screen. And you'll want to enter your program name and then your grantee name. And of course, your grantee name will auto-populate as soon as you select Community Services Block Grant. Community Services Block Grant is also the only program that will show. Once you select these two options, you'll then be able to select whether you're doing Module 2 or Module 4. This is very important. You're only able to submit one at a time. So first you would have to do Module 2 and then you do Module 4. If you try to submit Module 4 into Module 2, you will get a fail. And the difference between this screen and the attachment screen is that you are able to do all the smart forms, or all the XMLs for one module at one time through a drag and drop. So then after you select the module, you'll select the report period. And for this year, it will be October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020. This is based on the federal fiscal year. And then this little button this little box will pop up that will allow you to drag a file or click here to upload. For today's presentation, we are going, and for this slideshow, oops, I'm not sure what happened there. There it goes. For this slideshow, we are going to show how to drag a file. If you would prefer to do one at a time, you would click here to upload, and it'll be just as the way you would do an attachment for your for Module 1 and Module 3. Once you click the attachment files, you'll see that the file upload box shows as uploading in progress. And then you'll get a little pop-up that says successfully uploaded X amount of files. So in this picture, we have 3 files. And then you will click OK. And then the file box will show upload complete. It is important to note that when you get the little successful OK, that this is just showing that the upload was successful. This does not mean that the file has successfully saved. So it is important to still go to the next step and verifying that everything's saved. So you'll, under the My Upload status, you'll click the little plus sign and it will reveal all uploaded XMLs. Once an XML uploads, it goes through 2 statuses. All XMLs will first go into pending. No, I'm sorry. First, I want to say, under the My Upload status, you'll see the file name and then the status and then the date that the data was uploaded. So the file name, status, date uploaded. And then you have your little actions once it's successfully saved, which this is the view only. This is the edit, which you can't really edit modules 2 and 4 within OLDC, and then the report status screen. So as I was saying earlier, there's 3 statuses that could happen once the XML has successfully uploaded. All XMLs will initially show as pending, and this means that the system is reading the document to check for the correctness of the form, really meaning like the correct file type. So that XML is showing at the end, not XLCSX. And it's completing a virus scan. So if you receive a failure, which is the 3rd type of action, which we do not want to see, and it's categorized by a red button, please contact myself and Nikki. 1 of 2 things could have happened, in that the virus scan failed, or that there's an issue with the smart form or the XML itself. So if that happens, please contact us and we will work with you to get that corrected. Once you've uploaded all the smart forms and they're all showing as saved, I'm sorry, I did not talk about this status. This really means that that all the forms are correct and they have saved. So you won't want to proceed to the next step until all of them are showing as saved. Once they are showing as saved, you'll go back to the OLDC homepage, click the report form entry on the left-hand side of the screen, just as you did with modules 1 and 3. You'll then select your program name, grantee name, and you'll have to submit modules 2 and 4 separately. So once you submit modules 2 and 4, you'll select which one you're going to submit first, whether it's 2 or 4, depending on how they're uploading. And then you'll select your report period. Again, this is based on the federal fiscal year, so October 1st, 2019 through September 30th, 2020 for fiscal year 2020. Once you select this, you'll see that all your reports populate. The first line will always be your state level report, and this is an aggregate of all the data submitted by the eligible entities. Following, you'll see each eligible entity listed separately, and you'll see that if all the forms submitted successfully, you'll see the submitted status next to their name. If it's still showing as initialized, or there's not any status showing, that means that there's an error with XML upload. So in that case, again, you guessed it, contact myself and Nikki and we'll help you fix that. You are able to view each eligible entity form on its own. You won't be able to make any edits, but we do advise that you do this just to make sure that everything that was supposed to populate did populate correctly. And then you can also view your state level form by clicking this button. Once you have verified everything and you reviewed all the forms, you are next going to submitting at the state level form of it. So you'll click this little pencil and paper icon to click edit. And I use the word edit in quotes because you're not actually editing the form, but it will get you to the point where you can submit it. You'll then validate as you do with modules 1 and 3. And then you'll submit. One thing that I do want to point out here is during our March 16th webinar, we did suggest that if you had comments and you want to verify that some of the errors and warnings that you're seeing within the module are accurate, that you did look at it, those can be attached as an attachment under Module 2 or Module 4. Some states do this differently. They have separate comment forms for each module. Some states combine them all into one. It is up to you. We don't have a preference for that, but you would just attach the form to the correct one. Do not attach any smart forms or XMLs here. We will not look at them. It is an extra step that you're taking for no purpose, because we're only going to look at what you upload using the report data upload system. So once you have done that, you've attached your comments, you've validated, the submit button will pop up. You click submit and you're all done. At least this part of the process. And with that, I'll pass it back to Nikki to give some final tips.
Thanks again, Monique. We'll review final tips. Action buttons. These are the buttons that are within the module pages. Our previous section returns you to the previous section. Save saves the changes you have made so far. We encourage you to save often. Review, add attachments, opens the attachment window for you to view all your attachments. Remember that OCS accepts cell attachments for Module 1, and Module 3 allows you to use the file attachment buttons to attach your Module 3 smart forms. Validate checks errors throughout the report, and next section moves you to the next section. Reporting periods. For submissions, each module must be submitted separately. The annual report does not require certifications. The authorized official for your state does not have to certify the module. Module 1 is based on the federal fiscal year, which is October 1, 2019 to September 30th, 2020. Submit based on the work completed during the federal fiscal year 2020 using federal fiscal year 2020 funds. Modules 2 through 4, if I can quickly say that, is based on the state reporting period, and you will submit based on the work and funds spent during that time. We'll go over our Division of Community Assistance contacts. So first we have the Program Operations team, and under that team, we have Isaac Davis that covers Region 7 and 8, and Jamia Ferbers that covers Regions 4, 5, 6, and 9. Yay, I can read numbers and Roman numerals. Please copy CSBG states and your Program Operations Branch Chief on all emails. Then we'll go to the Financial Operations and Accountability team, which we have Yolanda Brown, Angela, the I is silent, and Norris Phillip III. And again, please copy CSBG states on those emails as well. And then we have the Technical Assistance team, the mighty Technical Assistance team for DCA, started with the fabulous Monique Alcantara, me, and our new technical assistance person for our area is Jacinta Mutanga. And she is willing to assist in all things OLDC access. Please copy Monique and me, Nikki, on all technical assistance requests, as well as copying CSBG states on these emails.
Thank you, Nikki. We have reached the question and answer portion of our presentation. I do not see any questions in the Q&A pod. If you do have questions, feel free to type them in now. We'll give you a few minutes. And then we will go on from there. So we'll give you guys a few minutes. I'm going to mute myself. If you guys have any questions, please add them to the Q&A pod. And if you have no questions, then
We do have in the chat pod questions about regions 1 through 3 and 10. We did not cover that. We are in a process of transitioning within the program branch. So that update will be posted to the website as soon as possible. For any questions regarding regions 1 through 3 and 10, as we said, copy CSBG states, but I think we're sending those emails to Isaac as well.
So we are starting to receive questions in the Q&A pod. So the first question is, can we get a copy of the slide deck? The answer is yes. We will be adding it to our website. And after we go through a few Q&As, I will show you where to find that. That is a new feature of our website. Just 1 second, just to clarify, if you are in region 1 to 3 and 10, please send that to Maxine Maloney, not Isaac Davis, for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you, Monique.
So there is a question about OLDC when it opens. So for the regular CSBG annual report, it is going to open next week. For CSBG Cares and the CSBG Disaster, it's going to open in April. And we also had a question, is OLDC open? So OLDC will open next week. Again, once you start using module 1, please check for those pre-populations. If they are not working, or you believe the incorrect information is populating over, please let us know. Stop what you're doing and send an email to myself and Nikki. We do have a question. Clarifications on modules 2 and 4 is based on the state reporting period. It was mentioned based on work and funds spent during that time. Does this include all agency funds, including carryover? The answer to that is yes. For modules 2 and 4, that includes everything as you have done in the past. It's only module 1 that we have you only reporting based on federal fiscal year 20 funds and based on the federal fiscal years. We have a question. On Tuesday, I thought I heard if a state has completed information on module 1 to delete the information entered before March 22nd when module 1 will be ready. Is that correct? Yes. So if you have already started entering information for module 1, please stop what you're doing because the pre-populations aren't ready and module 1 wasn't ready. So we do suggest deleting it and then starting it over again on March 22nd. Our next question, module 2, C.2, asks eligible entities for their fiscal year 20 CSBG funds received during fiscal year 20. We understand that it includes fiscal year 20 discretionary, would include allegations of fiscal year 19 discretionary allocated during fiscal years 20. Yes, so for modules 2 through 4, you're reporting based on what you've done that year, and it's not as much focused on the fiscal year, while module 1 is focused on the federal fiscal year only. Okay, there was a clarification on the question that I just asked. We understand that the totals include discretionary and CSBG cares. Yes, that is correct. For your regular annual report, include everything within modules 2 and 4, as well as module 1. You should be including cares and disaster under module 1 if you are able to do that. So, our next question is, are we able to submit the regular annual report and cares and disaster together? Or do we need to submit the regular and cares separately? So this is a two-part question. The first part of the question is, can we submit everything together? So within your regular CSBG annual report, you should include information about all the funding that you received in fiscal year 20. So that includes cares and disaster. However, There will be a separate report for CARES and for disaster, where you're only reporting on your CARES and disaster funds. Those reports will become available in April. So again, for your regular CSBG annual report, you should include everything. And then there will be separate reporting for CARES and disaster. When you submit them, you don't have to submit them all at one time. You are able to submit module 1 when module 1's ready. You're able to submit modules 2 and 4 when they're ready, and you're able to submit module 3 when it's ready. So you don't have to wait for all 4 modules to be complete. And that goes the same for all 3 reports. So if you're ready to submit your regular CSBG CARES on March 22nd, then submit it on March 22nd. If you're not able to, if you need more time and you're not able to submit anything until May 15th, then wait till May 15th. If you have to wait till June 1st, wait till June 1st. As you see, I'm not saying June 30th. That is the report due date. But we are really, if you're able to submit earlier than that, please do so. And also that will help us in helping you with any technical assistance you need and getting you that help earlier on rather than waiting towards the latter part of the reporting season. There is a question about if we didn't get our full CSBG CARES allocation until this fiscal year, do we separate the 2 allotments per the respective report? That is a good question. And we will reach out to you directly and release information about that. We do have a few webinars coming up that we're going to talk specifically about the CARES and specifically about the disaster supplemental reports. So and we'll make sure that that question's answered within that report. I don't want to give the wrong answer, so. The next question we have is that the CARES and disaster receive OMB clearance already. So technically the reports have already received clearance. We actually received clearance on these back in December. What we're doing now is receiving clearance to continue using the reports past May 31st. So they did receive clearance already, but we are now, the clearance we're going through is so that we can continue using them. Will Module 3 accept XML files similar to Modules 2 and 4? So yes, Module 3 will accept XML files similar to Modules 2 and 4. However, there's no need to convert your Module 3 into an XML file. It should be submitted to us as a Excel sheet. And I don't think there's even the option to submit the XML file as a, there's no option to export Module 3 into an XML. So that Module 3 should only be submitted as the Excel sheet. I do see a question where items we brought up addressed for this annual report process, but I'm not really sure what that's referring to. So you can reach out directly to me and we can discuss that further. I'm not seeing any additional questions. We do see a few thank yous and very good comment and good refresher, and we very much appreciate that. One more thing that I want to do prior to ending the webinar is, again, just remind everyone we will have virtual office hours starting April 15th. This will be one-on-one sessions as we've done in previous years at the conferences, where Nikki or I or the both of us will work with you on submitting your forms. So you can just contact us directly to schedule a time. Oh, we have 2 more questions come in. When submitting the CARES and disaster supplemental in April, will all sections have to be updated in OLDC? For instance, some of the sections will not need to be revised, edited, such as section D or standards. So the module 1 for the CARES and disaster forms, it is a smaller portion. So there's no questions about the organizational standards for CARES and disaster. Section F, I do not believe included. We do not quote me on that. But there are some questions where we are expecting different answers. So CARES and disaster module 1 is smaller than, it is a simplified version of what you do for the CSBG, regular CSBG. So disaster the organizational standards is not included in the CARES or disaster. Is April 19th still the target date for CSBG Care Smart Forms? Yes, that is still the target date. We will let you know if anything changes with that, but we are still aiming to release those no later than April 19th. And yes, it is a modified reporting for that final question. There is one more question here, but I do want to make sure that we don't cause any confusion. So I will reach out to you directly, or I'll have someone from our financial team reach out to you directly to answer the question about separating the CARES dollars out. So with that, I do want to point out some new features on our OCS website before logging off. Again, virtual office hours starting April 15th. You do not have to wait till April 15th to start scheduling time, but feel free to reach out to myself or Nikki for some one-on-one TNA as you start submitting your modules. We do have two new resources on our OCS website, and I will show you guys how to get there. The first resource is the CSBG Grantee Toolkit. And we essentially, it's going to give you everything you need to know and everything we've released about the CARES Act and the CSBG disaster supplemental so far in one place, so that you don't have to go and search around for everything. So I will show you guys how to get to those things shortly. And another new page is our OCS webinar page. As you can see, we already have some presentations up there, and I will also show you guys how to get there. If you guys just give me one quick second. So here is our OCS homepage. Once you come here, you can go to programs and click on the community services block grant. Nikki, can you confirm that you guys are seeing this so I'm not talking blind? Sorry.
Yes, we see it, Monique.
Okay, great, thank you. And once you come to community services block grant homepage, to get to the grantee toolkits, we actually have it right here front and center. You would click grantee toolkits, and it will take you to that page. And as I mentioned before, everything that we've released about the CSBG CARES Act so far is found in one place. So the documents about the application, about funding, implementation, and reporting are all here so far, as well as some additional COVID-19 resources. And I'm going to go back. And then the same thing for the disaster supplemental resources, so that you can find everything in one place, and I will zoom in. So again, background, applications, funding, implementation, reporting. And as we create additional resources, we'll make sure to continue adding these things here. So it's a one-stop shop. Feel free to add these as favorites on your Internet Explorer bar. The other new thing we'll have, and I'll go again back to the OCS homepage, and you'll click programs, go to community services block grant, and then you scroll down and click the little plus sign next to policy and guidance. And you'll see that you can also access the granting toolkits from here, but also our CSBG webinars. So once you click the CSBG webinars, you'll see the webinar slides here, and you'll see that we currently have the annual report kickoff and the smart forms refresher here and ready to go. So this webinar, as well as the March 16th webinar, will also be added to the webinar pages. And we will also be adding all the recordings here so that you guys can click play and actually watch back to the recording. So with that, I'll just say thank you so much, everyone. Just checking one more time. Oh, we did have one last question. Will states with the state system have details needed to share with vendors to collect modified data for CARES reporting? So yes, the we're working with that with NASCAS, and that will be available through the vendor portal as soon as possible. So we are working on that. But yes, the states with state systems will have those details in order to collect. One thing I will say is that we have made the back of the form the same so that the changes are minimal as far as developing your systems. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. And we hope that we were able to help you guys out. Again, please reach out to myself and Nikki for any office hours that you need starting after April 15th. Bye, everyone, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.